economic development. And this morning we shall be looking at the state of engineering here in Kenya. We are in the company of President. That's right. Plus a council member of the Institution of Engineers of Kenya. And then later on, we shall be looking at the state of innovation in this country. That's right. You remember, Kenya was one of the first countries in Africa to develop a STEM policy in a bid to harness the potential of research and innovation. Because as we are saying, innovation is going to be the fuel that is going to drive innovation, economic growth in the future. Kenya, being a silicon savannah, it cannot afford to be left out. It's playing a role to ensure that it remains as the silicon savannah of Africa. Where else do you get this kind of conversation? You sure? It's on Biz Check right here on KBC. Time now is coming to 10 minutes past 10. And of course, this being Biz Check, we have our reporters across the country from all the counties. They are tracking the news at the county level. And also, we are keeping an eye on the expected press briefing by the government spokesperson. What is he expected to say? And of course, a number of parliamentary committees are in session as we speak, and we shall be going to Parliament just to understand what issues are being addressed. Good morning, and thank you very much indeed for joining us. I want you to follow me on my socials at O'Brien Kimani and at KBC Channel 1. We just want to hear from you, and of course, link up with you so that you can be part of the great conversation that we're going to have in this studio. It's cold in Nairobi. That's right. We're talking about lows of 15. Yeah, it's freezing. And so we'll try to keep you company and, of course, ensure that you stay warm. I told you our conversation this morning is around the state of engineering here in Kenya. And who are better placed to talk about the state of engineering in Kenya? It's the Institution of Engineers of Kenya. It's an old institution, started back in 1972. We're talking about how many years? Yeah, we shall be discussing that. And joining us on the set is none other than the President, Shama Kiteme. Shama, thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Thank you very much, O'Brien, for having us.
Very good. And Shama is not alone. He's accompanied by a council member of IEK. This is Engineer Dr. Damaris Oyaro. Oyaro, asante sana.
Asante.
Very good. I just want to start with Shama. How would you describe the state of engineering here in Kenya today?
Well, thank you very much, O'Brien, for having us this morning. An interesting question, to be honest, because historically, like you alluded to, all civilizations are defined by the infrastructure they leave behind. Whether we talk of the Roman Empire, the Colosseums, whether we talk of early Egyptian civilization, the pyramids, etc., and all that we see in Greece. Civilizations are defined by the kind of infrastructure they leave behind. And so when we talk about our country, we're in a place whereby engineering, as it were, has contributed a lot to the development of the economy. When you focus on construction industry, for example, which engineering is at the center of, it has a huge contribution to the our economy. When you talk about sectors like energy, this country is powered through engineering. When you talk about transportation and infrastructure, airports, roads, blue economy, we are talking about engineering. When you talk about water, we can't survive without water. We're talking about engineering contribution to life, healthcare, digital, superhighway, and stuff like that. Engineering is at the center of what that we do as a country. Now, we seen times when the role of the engineer has not been appreciated. Yes, we have seen that. However, on the back of everything, we have engineers working very hard and pushing the economy and pushing this country. You can imagine we cannot survive a minute without power, for instance. Even here, this interview cannot proceed without power.
Yep.
And we have our engineers behind this.
And there are engineers behind this.
Yeah, so the role of engineering is so central to our life today that we define today's life we live as powered by the physics. Because Whether we talk of microchip, everything we're having, the phone, the watch, it's engineering behind that. And so, yeah, that's where we are in terms of the role of engineering in the economy.
Very good. What about Engineer Oyaro?
Okay. As the President has alluded, the standards or the state of engineering in the country currently, we've quite advanced from where we were, from the basic maram roads all over the country. Right now we can see better infrastructure, and also as we progress with time, we are seeing sophisticated equipments coming into the country, and also our engineer being able to come up with various innovation so that we can sustain and help mankind or the Kenyans have a simpler life. As an engineer, we collect all the basic sciences plus maths, put it together so that we can make the life easier and simple. So we've advanced and we are keeping with the current trends in the engineering world all over the world.
One of the glaring disparities in Kenya's engineering industry is the ratio of men and women in this industry. You belong to the minority. Less than 10% of our professional engineers are women. And so there has been debate on how do we close this engineering gender gap in this country. What ideas do you have? How can we achieve this?
Okay. The first reasons why we have this gender disparity, of course, it's the gender stereotypes. Engineering is not a lady's duty. It's mostly a man's society. We are trying to break these stereotypes by doing a lot of mindset change, both to the girl child and also their parents, because most of the children back in school will embrace a career following to the advice they get from the society. So as we go on, we are trying to bring in this, changing the mindset so that we break the stereotypes. There is a lot of mentoring going around to the girl child.
I want you to hold up. I mean, when we were growing up, and I'm talking about many years ago, the teachers, you would come to class and ask you, what would you want to be? And I can tell you for free that we used to have the 3 top professional courses that people would pick. One of them was doctor, engineer, or teacher. So you threw me off balance when you say that, you know, girls at a tender age, they don't get good guidance on how to embrace engineering. Can you please help us understand that much better?
Yes. As long as most of the girls who are very good in STEM, they tend to go to medicine as compared to engineering because of the setting that in the girls' schools, most of the girls' schools, there is this one major subject that distinguishes us from others. That is physics. You'll find very few ladies will embrace it. So now, that is now where the difference comes in. You'll find in boys' schools, physics is like common to everyone, but in girls' school, the uptake is quite not there. And now
comes. And why is that so?
I think it's the orientation people have, the mindset that physics is quite hard. We can't hesitate as girls. You know, it's the same way that we say maths is hard.
And who should be blamed for that perception? Because it's a perception.
It's the society. It's how we've been brought about, the stereotypes that we've been having. It's just a mindset. But if you set yourself to do it, I'm very sure maths is not so hard. Most girls do very well, given the correct guidance. So that is what, as now the Institution of Engineers of Kenya, we've gone in and trying to do a lot of advocacy on engineering being for all genders.
Engineering being for all genders.
Yes.
Shama, I mean, you've been in office, you know, barely 1 year, and your membership is about 12,000.
Absolutely.
12,000.
Yeah.
And 12,000 professional engineers in a country with a population of almost 60 million people.
Yeah.
Is that a good ratio?
Not at all. Look, the acceptable ratios are one engineer into 5,000. Right now, we are not anywhere close to that because registered professional engineers in this country are, roughly 3,000 going to 3,500. That tells you the ratio is way off. Now, this country has ambitious development agenda targeting 2030, and more immediate fifth government priorities that are largely engineering. That ratio of professionals to the population is a big disservice to this country, and we must work to improve it. We should be aiming around 1 engineer to 5,000, so that then we can see, and countries that have rapidly advanced, talk of Germany, South Korea, that ratio is as high as 1 into 100. So when you talk of anything 1 into 10,000, whatever, we are actually really way off if we are to achieve what we want. But most important thing is what we are doing as the institution. We have put in measures to reach out to all graduate engineers. We have had sessions with them. We have taken them through mentorship sessions so they can appreciate the need to transition and become professional engineers. We sit every month as a council to approve membership, and we are very aggressive in supporting the Engineers Board of Kenya because it's necessary, it's required by law. Before you become a professional engineer, you are a corporate member of the Institution of Engineers of Kenya. And so we are working very hard to make sure that all those who meet the threshold and qualifications, they do join. Initially, a couple of years ago, 6 years down the line, back, we were actually spending significant amount of money to go through these mentorship sessions. Right now, they are free. We hold them over the weekends. And you have provided tools that are necessary for our members who want transition. And you have seen good numbers for the record, but we are saying we need to see more so that we can really be at par with the UNESCO standards, that is 1 engineer to 5,000 population. Yeah.
How many graduate engineers do we churn out into the market every year?
Well, I would estimate around 2,500 every year.
So 2,500
yes.
every year.
Yeah.
And so in 10 years, then you'd look at 25,000.
You would. However, you know that there are usually attrition, factors of attrition.
Yeah.
Some opt not to practice engineering. They end up in other roles. Others find their way out of this country. That's a fact. However, as we speak now, we have over 23,000 of them who should be able to transition and become professional engineers. That's a big number.
So you have 23,000 graduate engineers?
Yes, 23,000 and counting.
Vis-a-vis 3,000 registered engineers?
3,500 thereof. So
why that huge disparity?
There's a huge gap. There are several contributing factors. Initially, it was regarded very hard to transition. People thought there were some people who were gatekeepers, who were frustrating those who want transition. However, I've been in the council since 2018, and we have worked very hard to demystify this process. I attempted to register myself like the 4th, 5th year of graduating. And by the 6th year, I'd already become a PE. Right now, there are people who have registered within 3 years, which is a statutory requirement by law.
Yep.
That tells you the process has really been demystified. And I can tell you, anyone who makes an effort to register, they will register. Even if not at the first attempt, they will be sufficiently guided by the panel and be told what they need to do. Even when I went there, I sat my first interview and I was told, look, though you have done well in all the other areas, we need you to go back and demonstrate competence in contract management and contract administration. When I went back, I came back, and I did not even spend 15 minutes in that interaction with the panelists. They told me, we see you did what you did, and you complied with our guidance, and so I was given the professional status. So what you're saying is that historically there has been those bottlenecks that you worked very hard to remove them. There is actually an outreach program telling graduate engineers, now you don't have to wait. This is what you can do for you to be able to transition. Now, those who make an effort, I can guarantee you they are transitioning, and the transition rate has really improved. Every time we sit as a council, we are approving numbers into 150, 200. When I was getting into the council, it was hardly 50. So we can see the efforts of this outreach, these efforts of mentorship, and we are sitting in a good place. We are way better than even some regional countries, you know that, but we are saying we want to keep working at it, and we can see the progress.
Engineer Oyaro, you know, the president is talking about, you know, elaborate plans that the institution has put in place to ensure that there is smooth and fast transition from a graduate engineer to a professional engineer. When you look at regulations, and when you look at the Engineers Board of Kenya, which is the institution that is in charge of regulating this industry, are there areas that we need to tweak so that we can expedite this process and make it much faster?
Thank you. The Engineers Board of Kenya is the one that regulates the profession. There are areas, yes, we need to tweak. Like there is a lot of, we can say, expertise that we require, some training that we require after graduation, so that you are like a professional engineer. So we need a lot of internship. We need to tweak the parastatals that we have to take in more graduates for the sake of training them, for the sake of becoming professional engineers. So the internship bit is highly required because we require all this section: contract management, design, and fieldwork, which you can only get if you work in a company. But this is not forthcoming. So you'll find most of them are doing jobs that will not lead them to be professional engineers. So I guess after just the way we can say the doctors transit into hospitals so that they do the internship, also the engineers, if we get that internship, most of them will be registered by the third year of practicing.
Look, you're saying that we don't have enough internship opportunities. And Kenya is being described as one big construction site. I mean, you have constructions, you know, taking place in all parts of this country, from roads to buildings to airports to ports. And all these sites, there is demand for engineers. So what is not happening, honestly?
I guess now it's part of us as the leaders now to go negotiate for our graduates to be part of this work, because most of them might be from private companies, especially the structures, and they tend to go for contractors, not Kenyan contractors, but foreign contractors. And these foreign contractors come with their people. So you see, if they are to take some of our engineers, there'll be very few. And of course, they will go for the professionals and forget the graduates. So it's time for us to negotiate for most of these graduates.
I, as a contractor, for example, if I hire the services of a graduate engineers, what are the risk factors involved as opposed to hiring professional engineer?
The risk factor, the first thing is the liability of the GE is not like the one for the professional engineer. That's the main risk.
So then why would I want to take a graduate engineer?
Basically, that's the question. But having a professional engineer there, they can guide these graduate engineers so that in the end of the day, we need that succession. The professionals are becoming old. Who will take over?
What is the average age of a Kenyan engineer?
Currently, it should be 35.
35?
A professional engineer. 30, 35.
It's supposed to be 30, 35?
Yes.
So they are within the bracket of
Youths.
Gen Zs?
Yes.
So why then don't we have, and I want to hear this from Engineer Kiteme, why don't we then have some sort of a chaperoning kind of programs whereby, you know, we have professional engineers, you know, guiding and helping graduate engineers, you know, wade through the jungle of this industry?
Ah, a good one. So, look, what we do as an institution, we provide a platform for networking, for mentorship, because basically we look at the welfare and we're involved in the advocacy for the profession. We do have sessions where we mentor students. We have even speed mentoring sessions. We have deliberately held sessions with graduate engineers to discuss issues that affect them. And so there are deliberate efforts, even linking up young engineers to senior engineers so that they can learn. What we are saying is this. When you look at some of the professions, for example, in the doctors, when you graduate, there's a guaranteed internship which is paid by government. We are saying Kenya is one big construction industry. You alluded to that. But have we put in deliberate effort to make sure that every construction undertaking, there are provisions for training? And this is something we've been pushing, so that there is a budget set aside for every BOQ for training. And that creates opportunities for graduate engineers and for students who want internship. Every day I receive in my phone so many requests for internship and attachments. And if we made it a requirement as a country, every project we are doing, there is a budget set aside for training. And this creates opportunities for graduate engineers, creates for learning, creates opportunities for students, internships. And we can even go further and say, every engineering student who graduates in this country is guaranteed a 3-year internship, for instance, that is paid by the government. And it is done for doctors. Why not the same for engineers? And pays them something, so that we know that for every of the 2,500 engineers we're producing every year, we have a guarantee that we're feeding into the pipeline every year. 3 years after that, they are going to become professional engineers. It is not difficult to see that number changing. In about 4 years, we're talking about that number changing into the numbers we're looking for based on the UNESCO standard. So we're saying there has to be a deliberate effort, and we have made a noise about this. We have had interactions with the Public Service Commission so that there's an internship program that is deliberate and targeting engineers, but also compensated well. What we have right now is very small, taking a very few numbers, and they're paid paltry sum, 25,000, when you know their colleagues, they are clamoring for 200. In the medical field, they are claiming 200,000. We are saying, why not pay these interns, even 150,000? And then we are looking at a guarantee of a pipeline for churning out engineers. And this country needs them if we are to achieve the target we want about. So that there has to be a deliberate effort to build the capacity. And I'm telling you, if we don't do this, then we are looking at a point where we are going to start importing engineers. I keep on reminding our colleagues that we want to be operating a nuclear power station in 2036. For you to run one nuclear power station, you need like 1,000 engineers.
1,000?
1,000. If you want that number, and you cannot get it locally, because we have not trained engineers, we will start importing them from other countries. Now we're importing engineers as expatriates to this country, and our own engineers are jobless. It's a big problem.
Why would anybody want to hire a foreign engineer over a local engineer?
But that's what is happening. Why? Because we are entering into financial agreements that some of them are saying, for you to submit a bid for this E or I, you have to be of Chinese nationality. You have to be of Japanese nationality. So from the word go, we have crafted finance agreements that work against our own citizens. And you're saying, this is not sustainable, it is not good, we are punishing this country because you have that financial agreement, you get the tender awarded, the project is done, we will pay for those loans, us and our children and our grandchildren. We are paying for work which was done by foreigners, we paid them and they went. It's slavery, modern day slavery. And you're saying, why don't we be deliberate, even in finance agreements? And if these finance agreements, they are skewed, we know they start somewhere in foreign capitals. Why don't we have engineers as in those diplomatic missions who can advise our colleagues in the foreign service on the issues that they need to consider and all that? Or even in the treasury, where these financial agreements are being struck. Why are we having agreements that are so lopsided and working against our own citizens? We have even written to Minister of Interior requesting for appointment with CS Kindiki and asking him, why are you letting in through immigration people to come here to do a job that locals and Kenyans can do? We can have a conversation, and we have a pool of engineers. They are available, whether electrical, mechanical, mechatronic, textile, agricultural. We have a pool of engineers ready to do this work. Every day I receive messages of jobless engineers, some of them being professional engineers. Why are we importing experts to do work that locals can do? And so we're saying, for us to build this local capacity, we have to be deliberate in creating opportunities for our locals, our Kenyan engineers. Otherwise, we'll keep on saying the same thing, year in, year out. And I'm telling you, foreigners are coming here, doing work we should do, going home with the money, and we are paying for the money through our own taxes.
I think I can't remember whether it was early this year or late last year when there was an advert in local dailies about a construction company or something like that that was looking for specifically engineers of a certain nationality. And there was a lot of uproar in Kenya. As engineers, as Institution of Engineers of Kenya, did you pick up that issue?
Yes, we picked. We wrote. We wrote to the CS because the project was ITS, integration within the city, and it preferred nationalities, Chinese nationalities. We wrote to the CS, Mukomen then. We wrote to Kura, Kenya Urban Roads Authority, and our colleagues responded, of course. We made enough noise, and I'm sure that anyone going that route in the future will be careful.
How was the idea shelved? Or?
Well, I do not have the update. However, the response we got was exactly the same thing I've talked about. Financial agreements that are coached to look like it's a G2G agreement. And we are saying, if that is where we are getting to problems, maybe it is finance experts discussing these things without involving us as engineers. We're saying, have people in treasury, and we are setting up a meeting with Mbandi, the new CS treasury. Have engineers, wherever, in State House, wherever, in Prime Cabinet Secretary's office, wherever these agreements are being crafted. Have engineers there in diplomatic missions. We have economic attaché in diplomatic missions. Have engineering attachés so that we then don't start doing wrong things from the word go. We bind ourselves into agreements that are working against our citizens. But I can tell you, we will make noise, we have made noise, and I dare you that we will go to the streets if we must go. Because when we see opportunities...
That will be historical.
Yeah, it will be.
Having engineers on the streets.
Absolutely. When we see opportunities for engineers being taken, and we have local capacity to do this, I kid you not, it is not fair. Because we are compromising the future of this country. These opportunities, if we do a job and we have experts, And mark you, the laws have provisions. Even when we do not have local expertise, the people we bring, they train the local engineers, so that when we want to do this again, we are not going to import experts again. So we must look at it from a point of being deliberate. Well, we know we have got into agreements, we have African Continental Free Trade Area and all that. We want opportunities. But I'm telling you, it is not as easy to set up business in China as it is to do here. Why do, in diplomacy we have quid pro quo? If it is that easy for them to set up here, why don't we even make it also as easy as it is for us to set up shop here? However, these are engagements we are having, they are conversations we are leading as engineers, and we are saying it can't remain like that. Otherwise, we are compromising the future of this country.
Engineer Oyaro, I know local engineers, have in the past tried to influence decisions with a call to government that was it 5% of all projects in Kenya to be reserved for local engineers or something like that. Has this worked?
To some extent, some of the government works. It has worked, but not all. Again, we go back to the financial agreements. There are some that are crafted that the consultancy has to be basically the financing government. So it ends up that the work goes to their country. So the jobs that have been reserved basically for our Kenyans are mainly from development partners like African Development Bank, World Bank. Those are the ones. But the G2G financial agreements, you cannot influence them.
You cannot?
Yes.
Yeah, I need to add this here. It has not been this dour. In the 90s, we were in a situation whereby the financing partners had a lot of say and sway in this kind of agreements. But the now government, after 2002, was very firm. And you saw a burst in infrastructure development. And it's when you saw the revival of the engineering sector in this country. Why? Because the Kibaki government was deliberate in making sure that the finance agreements that we come into, they are not working against the local industry. And that's when you saw even engineering firms now come back to life when they were dead in the 90s and all that. So what we're saying is that we have seen this work, but I can guarantee you, post-2013, even up to now, we have gone back almost to what we had in the 90s.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and the script is there. We can go back. We don't need to be taken over. And by the financing, by the people financing these infrastructure projects, we just need to be firm. And if the deal is not good, we just turn it down. We will get other partners who are willing to work with something that is good for this country. We must be proud of ourselves as Africans. Otherwise, we will remain in after political colonialism through economic colonialism. And it is going to be very sad. Posterity will be asking us, what did you do?
Help me understand this. In a situation whereby we don't have foreign engineers in Kenya, do we have capacity in the local market to meet the local demand?
Yes, we have the capacity.
We do.
The engineers for Kenya have been trained through our universities, and most have even gone and enhanced their skills abroad. So we are able to do the work. So given the chance, we are able to do it. Especially even the consultancies, the foreign consultancies, most of the work is guided by the local engineers because we are the ones who know the conditions within our country. Our skidding ratios and all those things, it's us who know it. So they have to use us to understand our locals so that they can customize the product to suit the locals. So we have the capacity.
Look, Engineer Kiteme, talked about Kenya's plan to construct a 1,000 megawatt nuclear power plant, you know, at the coast. This is not a new dream. I mean, we've been having this, we've been talking about these, you know, for more than 10 years now. And he's talking about 1,000 engineers needed to run, manage, and construct that power plant alone. And you are talking about an industry where you have about 3,500 professional engineers. So, do we have, number one, engineers who are fully equipped with the demands of today's engineers, number one? And number two, do we have enough engineers to undertake what will be classified as mega project that would take hundreds, if not thousands, of engineers?
Yes, we have it. Only that the number of the professionals are less, but we are saying by the time the plant comes in, we would have transitioned quite a number of engineers. So the capacity is increasing with time, and that's why we're insisting on continuous professional development. And we are not only training them on the current trends here in Kenya, but worldwide. So our engineers are exposed, and we are ready to do even mega projects. Given the chance, Kenyan engineers can be able to do most of the work.
So let me tell you this. This country, German, for example, Ireland and other countries, they are tapping our own engineers to go and run their own manufacturing and stuff like that. We established a community of engineers in North America, Canada and the US.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, we have our colleagues working in nuclear power stations in Canada, in the US. We have our colleagues working in Lockheed Martin, working in Boeing. We have our colleagues working in GE, producing the best equipment technology we are using globally. We have our colleagues in the UK, in German, Kenyan engineers trained here, but their skills being used in Europe and America. What are we saying? We're saying we have the best brains. We have the best brains that are applying their trade in Australia all over, doing all manner of things. So it is not true that we do not have the local capacity to do all things. In any case, I have been involved in projects even across Africa. That tells you our skills are still required across the continent. So it is not true we cannot do these mega projects. We can do them because we have the best brains here, and we need to trust our own local capacity because we have it.
You are bringing in the issue of brain drain, and it's true. I mean, you go to the United States, you find Kenyan engineers working in major corporations, and you have mentioned them, from Boeing to Microsoft to Google. You go to South Africa, you have Kenyan engineers working in companies like Eskom, in companies like Nasrec. You go to Rwanda, you have Kenyan engineers practicing there, constructing airports, constructing roads. And so, then when you come here in Kenya, you have a problem with Chinese contractors or Chinese engineers working in Kenya. How should we then handle this?
You see, let me tell you, even when we have these agreements, and the finance agreements prefer foreign firm to be the lead firm, and then we bring Kenyan firm to be a partner in JV. What happens, and I'll surprise you, a lot of work is done by the Kenyan partner, but all the money goes to the foreign partner. That has been the trend. And you'll be surprised, when COVID came, these expatriates flew away because they're afraid of COVID. What happened? They left work being done by the junior partners, supposed junior partners, who are Kenyan firms doing the work. Because they fled away. This is not their country. They felt safe in their own country. And what did we learn? We learned that actually The work proceeded. Projects were never stopped because the real work was being done by Kenyan firms. So it's a mirage created there. It's a false narrative created there. I need to bust it. And we need to build our local capacity. Look, countries that have developed, whether you talk of China, whether you talk of India and all that, they created an atmosphere where they built the local capacity. You want to target their market, they made sure that it's not as easy to import. You have to kind of build industries in the country, and then you employ the locals so that it is cheaper to produce locally what you want to import into that country. In a similar manner, we must be deliberate in making sure that we build local industries. These local industries will create opportunities for chemical engineers, electrical engineers, mechanical engineers, mechatronic engineers, textile engineers, so that we can now start producing and then make sure that we build local industries, creating local opportunities and training our own. Through the reverse engineering, what you are importing, we can actually start producing locally by building our local capacity and creating a business environment that creates local manufacturing and grows it. I know we have an ambition by 2030 to grow to the contribution of manufacturing from to GDP to 20%. Currently is about 7.6, sadly lower from 2015, which is about 10%. So we must be deliberate in what we are doing to build local industries, local capacity, which of course the net effect is create opportunities for engineers. So the belief that we do not have people locally who can do this is a false narrative, and we need to expand it.
I remember, I think about 3 or 4 years back, there is a company that is planning to construct an oil pipeline from Turkana to the port of Lamu. And the people who are in charge of this company, you know, are talking about lack of petroleum engineers in the Kenyan market. Kenya is constructing a smart city in the name of Konza. And there has been concerns that the local market, we do not have enough robotic engineers. These are some of the examples. How then do we ramp up the training that we have in Kenya to ensure that we also capture emerging technologies like robotic, hydrocarbons development, and so much, Engineer Oyaro?
Okay, this goes back to the curriculum in our universities.
And who is in charge of developing this?
Basically, it's the various universities in conjunction with the regulators. That is EBK. EBK comes in to see that the curricula suits what engineering should be. So basically, the universities should be able to upgrade, as in it's a rule from the Commission of University Education that every 5 years we should change our curriculum to suit the current trends.
Is it happening?
Basically, it should happen.
But is it happening?
It's not happening because
it's not happening.
So many things come in, funding and all those things.
So then aren't we then likely to be churning out 2,500 engineers who do not suit today's job demands?
No, that, far from the truth. Look, those people said that we do not have enough petroleum engineers. I think they did not consult IEK. Because when I'm seated here, I know colleagues working in Saudi Arabia, Qatar.
But will they come back to work in Kenya?
No, give them an opportunity. They have petroleum engineers, they're working with Schlumberger, they are doing incredible stuff.
But do we have petroleum engineers working here in Kenya?
Yes, they're there.
Well, we have, and I'm telling you, KPC, we have mechanical engineers, we have chemical engineers involved in incredible work, process engineering, working with petroleum products and all that. If you set up, we have KPRL, Kenya Petroleum, we had our engineers working there.
It's now bankrupt.
I mean,
KPRL.
we know the problems and all that. So many problems with the economy. But the narrative that we do not have the local capacity. I mean, I know the work that is happening in our universities. Go to Dedan Kimathi University. We are manufacturing semiconductors there. And I know we have young engineers, mechatronic engineers, who are doing what we call 3D printing here in JKUAT. We have professors in our universities, top-notch professors, able to lead and churn out engineers capable of doing these things. So the person saying we do not have robotic engineers and all that, those are allegations that are false. Talk to IEK, we will give you engineers that you need. We have bright students in our universities doing incredible stuff. You visit exhibitions. This year, we are having annual convention in Mombasa, 29th October to 1st November. Come and see the young engineers exhibiting incredible stuff. Electrical engineers, mechatronic engineers, chemical engineers. Engineers are doing incredible stuff. So the person saying we do not have petroleum engineers, let them consult us as IK. If we tell them we cannot give them 5 engineers, petroleum engineers, then we will tell them you are right. But before them, let us not lie so that we can justify bringing foreigners to come here. You see, and we have said, yesterday we had a meeting with the CS Water and Sanitation, Engineer Eric Murithi. We were meeting him as IEK. The conversations we were having with our colleague engineer, who is now Cabinet Secretary for Water, it was almost like a design meeting. Because for the first time, you're talking with a colleague who understands technical details of the ministry they are heading. Why don't we have that as modus operandi, where if you're talking of a ministry, which is engineering largely, have PS, the CS, being an expert in that area, then you're going to have conversations that are relevant. Otherwise, we are going to have conversations where people are saying they are not local engineers, they import their people. Because they are wheeler dealers, entrepreneurs, they're interested with the money, cutting deals. They're not interested with the actual technical issues that needs to be tackled by those state departments, ministry, departments and agencies. So if we are going to be serious, let us have engineers involved in making the technical decisions, financing agreements, so that then the infrastructure that we are implementing is implemented by Kenyan engineers. And I can tell you, we have the local capacity.
I can see time is almost coming to 10:57, and so we should be winding up and getting to the other topic. But I want to hear this from Oyara. I mean, and so it behoves IEK and other stakeholders in the industry to come out and say, look here, we have the capacity, we have the talent, we have the skills. And so come and engage us. Otherwise, if this doesn't happen, then there will always be that convoluted idea or notion that we do not have qualified engineers in Kenya. We do not have the necessary talent in this country. And so we need to import more. And so how then do we go out as engineers? How do you go out and as engineers and consult Kenyans, engage them and show them the talent that you have, the skills that we have, locally?
First of all, basically, what is done that we have engineers in Kenya basically might be felt in towns, but like institution of engineers has devolved. We have branches all over, and we are doing a lot of advocacy to various areas in Kenya. All the corners of Kenya, you go there is a branch that is able to advocate that we have engineers who are able to do this. Other than the advocacy that we are doing, also we need to come out in the media, the way we are here today, to tell Kenyans we are there and we are able to do it. Don't go looking for engineers abroad. We are here, we are able to do it, and we have the capacity. Our universities are churning out engineers who are capable of doing everything. Instead of letting them go abroad to work there, let them be utilized here and let them have a fair pay that will make them be retained within here.
Very good.
Yeah.
Engineer Kiteme, as we wind up, I just want to hear from you. I mean, you're talking about the engineers convention, which is coming up in Mombasa. Is it from 28th?
29th August, October.
October.
To 1st November.
Tell us something more about that convention.
The convention is prepared by the Institution of Engineers of Kenya. Our theme is industrialization for economic transformation and job creation. We have organized ourselves so that the conversations that are happening, they are very relevant to the economic transformation of this country. All the sectors are covered: energy sector, water sector, building sector, agriculture. We are problem solvers as engineers. And we have organized ourselves so that we have expertise in all these areas: in agriculture, digital superhighway, universal healthcare. And what we are doing is, we are saying, we have the solutions to the problems the country is facing. We are leading the conversation on solving these solutions. You have asked the question on whether we are going out. Let me tell you, we have organized ourselves such a way that we are leading these conversations. Two weeks ago, we released a statement on the state of manufacturing in this country. Thankfully, the PS on investments, PS Hassan Abubakar, picked it and called us for a conversation. And we have agreed on a framework on what we are going to do to make sure we solve the problems that we are seeing around this area. So IK has gone out there. We have building the local capacity. We have programs for making sure that we're involving everyone, young engineers, lady engineers. I'm telling you, while we have 13% of our engineers being ladies, we have 41% of them in the leadership forums of the Institution of Engineers of Kenya. So we are working very hard to make sure that we are going out there and being problem solvers. Yeah. And so one of these conversations is going to be happening in Pride in Paradise, 29th October to 1st November. And we are inviting all the players in the industry to come. We are having panel discussions. We are having keynote speeches. Yeah. We are having participants from the private and public sector, from roads, water, agriculture, energy, all the sectors. And this is a place to be. Whether you are a manufacturer, whether you're a consultant, whether you are a merchant, this is a place to be.
And we are looking forward to a partnership between IEK and Kenya Broadcasting Corporation to ensure that that information and that communication goes out to the public.
Absolutely.
Engineers, it's always nice to have you and nice to talk to you so that we can see how we can advance the agenda of engineering in this country, and of course how we can reposition the engineering fraternity as a key socio-economic driver in this country. Your time is highly appreciated. I mean, you see, these are great conversations that we need to have as a country so that we see how we can position engineers as key drivers and enablers of socio-economic development. And it has always been said that if Kenya is going to achieve the much desired Vision 2030, then engineers must be the focal point of driving this dream. You're watching BizCheck. We're live from Broadcasting House. I mean, it's coming to 11:02. And so the next conversation is coming up next. We're looking at the state of innovation and research here in Kenya. My team is in the house, so stay right here for that communication.
I am never coming to clean your house again. You can now clean your smelling gym clothes, you are smelling bathroom, you are smelling kitchen, you are smelling everything.
Shut up! Or better hope, you better let me know tomorrow so that I can bring you women clothing. You join the women's club, you win.
Julia, Julia.
Hello.
Video. Now, this thing needs patience and precision. When you go in too fast, of course you will get tired very easily.
Too much speaking. Why can't you get the grab and show us the action?
They say kutembea kwingi kuona mengi. Uotie kime.
Are you a talented artist? Or are you passionate about a topic you want to discuss? But money can be very hard to find for an upcoming artist. Don't worry, Studio Mashinani has got your back. Sign up on ajira.co.ke to book a session with our music and video producers across the country. Work on your music, jingles, spoken words, and even podcasts to realize your dream. All for free. Studio Mashinani, Radani Talent.
Mtazamaji, tumekuandalia taarifa zinazogonga vichwa vya vyombo vya habari kutoka hapa jijini Nairobi na pia mashinani.
Wanahabari zaidi ya ubora wao wako ange kukuletea habari pindi zinapochipuka kutoka pembe zote za Kenya.
Kwenye kipindi cha Tamrini tunakuletea mazungumzo ya moja kwa moja kufafanua na kuangazia masuala yanayokuhusu wewe mtazamaji.
Kumbuka, taarifa yenye thamani daima hupokewa kwa amani.
Hivyo basi usikose kuungana nasi kila siku ya wiki.
Tukupakulie na tukutaarifu taarifa yenye mnato kwenye runinga unayoienzi. Kwenye Kurunzi Mashinani,
sisi DC.
Anasema mtu akikosa haya katika uso hakuna chochote. Halali na haramu watachanganya, haki na batili watachanganya. Katika sifa ni mtu awe na haya. Sifa nyingine taa, mwanamke ambaye mwenye kumtii mume wake.
Katika mambo ambayo tunapaswa kuzingatia tunapochagua wachumba ni kama vile kuangalia dini ya mja ambaye tunajaribu kuingia katika nikaa naye. Vile vile pia tunafaa kuangalia jamii yake, tabia yake, uzuri wake na vile vile pia uchaji Mungu wake.
Alikuwa amechukua steering wheel na kiti ya mbele, yani kiti ya driver.
Ilikuwa ni kaa ya nani? Gari nani?
Ilikuwa gari ya wewe mama Mwindi.
Mlikuwa hapo nikiwapelekea?
Hapana.
Alafu na mbona unaongea vitu ujui?
Lakini oni wewe iko pale.
Turaena au toka hapo pana usingetee.
Kwa nini iko?
Sasa huyu ukimwongelesha lugha yako anaelewa.
For your information, mimi sina gari.
Very good. Kwa nini unaleta cherere hapa? Why?
Chiherere. Footage inaonyesha vizuri wewe tu vile aliingia ndani ya gari. Akangangara. Akatoa. Akafunga. Alafu anamwambia mimi ni cherere.
Mimi ulisikia mimi ndio nimeiba hiyo kiti na nimeiba hiyo steering. Kulingana na ule mama ambaye mlikuwa mnavunja sheria na yeye unamwekea gari. Kumbe wewe ulikuwa na sitaki story. Nini? Jibu swali yangu.
In the heart of Nandi County lies Kobujoi town, home to hundreds of bamboo trees. In the suburbs, a variety of trees grow here, from sprouts to fully grown stalks. We first head to the bamboo plantation to get a glimpse of its beauty. It is here that Dominic Tanui has ventured in the climate-resilient move for 4 years. According to him, it all starts here at the nursery.
Kiangalia kama hizi hapa ni seedlings ambazo zimekaa kwa nursery karibu mwaka mmoja, na hii ni seedlings ambazo ziko tayari kuenda kupandwa. Ikitoka hapa inaelekea kule kwa mashamba ambapo tunatengeneza shimo ya futi 2 kwa futi 2 na futi 2 pia chini. Tunaweka manyua na kuweza kupanda bambu ili iweze kupata ile rotuba ya kumea kwa haraka.
From the nursery, the seedlings are propagated in potting bags.
Itachukua karibu muda wa mwaka mmoja ili iweze kunawiri kufika ile stage ya kupandwa katika shamba. Hiyo njia nyingine ya pili ni kutumia cuttings. Ile mianzi ambayo imeshakomaa inakatwa, mwanzi wa karibu miaka 2-3 inakatwa into cuttings. Utapata kwamba ile node iko na kitu kama hii, kwa hivyo inakatwa mahali hapa na inakatwa mahali hapa, kisha inaingizwa kwa potting bags ambazo ni kubwa.
Once the bamboo fully matures, it is harvested to be handcrafted into artifacts and even fodder.
Mwanzi huu tangu upandwe umechukua karibu muda wa mwaka mmoja, na kama unavyoangalia matawi ni mengi sana, kwa hivyo inahitaji ile tunaita sustainable management. Tunaenda kuondoa hizi matawi kama hizi hapa, na tukitoa hizi branches tunatumia kama hii, tunatumia kama fodder.
And some as food.
Bamboo rhizome ama bamboo shoots iko na manufaa mengi kwa mwili. Iko na calcium, iko na carbohydrate, na pia iko na silica ambayo ni mzuri kwa mambo ya mifupa na ngozi.
From the plantation, we head to the workshop. Inside, everyone is busy. We find a variety of homemade products from flower vases, angle phone holders, bamboo couch and lampshades. Tanui's interest in the bamboo tree, he says, was sparked off by its raw material capacity for a number of artifacts.
Bamboo is the newest cash crop in Kenya, and therefore we want to advance these to the community for livelihoods, and also at the same time also fighting climate change.
Compared to other trees, he says, bamboos have been identified to be the most eco-friendly.
The products we make actually have low carbon footprint, because when you look at the carbon produced to make a plastic chair and the carbon emission from the products we make from bamboo, they are not comparable.
Tanui acknowledges that leveraging on technology has opened opportunities for his business.
Going through YouTube videos, YouTube tutorials, you can get to learn a lot. We've learned a lot in terms of making some specific artifacts, and that has had a plus so much in terms of our designs, because going to events and forums, you get to understand that you're making amazing designs, you're making amazing products, and all that is because we are using so much YouTube to learn what is being done and also learn new technologies of making new products.
Thanks to his enterprise, Tanui has created direct and indirect jobs for his community members.
I want to urge the youth kwamba out of this bamboo, they can actually employ themselves. Wanaweza kujiemploy, wanaweza kutengeneza kama cottage industries out of bamboo only.
Wanapovitengeneza, wanapeleka sokoni, wanauza na wanapata pesa. Hiyo inapunguza hao kutegemea msitu sana sana katika manufaa yao ya nyumbani.
Because bamboo takes huge space, and there are these NEMA regulations about the distance you should plant from your neighbor's boundary. So those are the challenges that we really get. It's not like a tree you can just plant anyhow. You need to consider a lot of facts.
Despite the challenges,
we also are trying to see if there can be standardization of other products, and also inclusion of these bamboo products in the public procurement list, so that we can trade with the government. If we get that point where we have the chance to trade with the government, it's easy to promote the sector.
He aspires and advocates for the use of eco-friendly bamboo trees, not only in Kenya, but globally. Creativity is just like weaving magic with ideas, and just like Dominic Tanui, sometimes all we need is just a touch of creativity in our craft to develop beautiful ventures and even generate income. For Young and Industrious, I'm Lorraine Chepchirchir.
Welcome back. You're watching BizCheck. We're live from Broadcasting House. It's almost 15 minutes past the hour of 11. And so we have about 45 minutes before we finish this show. We were talking about the status of engineering in this country. You have heard it from the voices of engineers in this country, the president as well as a council member of IEK. We now want to dive deep into the world of innovation in Kenya. You see, Kenya was the first country back in the year 2008 to launch an innovation master plan that was supposed to harness the power and the talent of innovation to drive economic growth and, of course, help in the realization of Vision 2030. And actually, when you go through the Vision 2030, it talks about building an economy that is centered around innovation. And that's why when you ask so many policymakers in this country, they always talk about the innovation giants of this world. We're talking about Singapore, we're talking about South Korea, we're talking about China. And that is where Kenya wants to be by the year 2030. We are talking about less than 6 years from now. And so what do we need to do to harness innovation, to drive innovation, to increase the uptake of innovation at the tender age? And that's why initiatives like the STEM project are very important in our conversation. And so this morning, we just want to have a conversation on how to nurture innovation in this country. And we are talking to engineer. Yes, that's right. It seems like we're going to have more engineers on the show this morning. Engineer Jane Motereri is the Managing Director of La Femme Engineering Services. She's joining us here so that she can help us drive this conversation around engineering. It's very nice to have you, Engineer Motereri.
Thank you very much.
Very good. And also we have an alumnus of the Young Scientists of Kenya. Her name is Cindy Felix. She is a third-year actuarial science student at Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology. So she's joining us here so that she can give us the perspective of young innovators and a young scientist. Cindy Felix, it's nice to have you this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Very good. Motereri, I just want to hear from you. What is the status of innovation in this country?
That's a good question, but I don't know whether I have the correct answer to that. Yesterday, during the opening ceremony of the National Research Fund, together with YSK, are having a conference at the Edge. And yesterday, during the opening ceremony, Mr. Kosgei, that is the
head of public service,
said that the problem that we have as innovators is because we don't showcase what we do. So there's so much innovation, but nobody really knows what it is or what you gain from that. And that is actually, I think, a big problem. So when you ask me where we are at the innovation, I could tell you that we are quite far, but I could also tell you that that far is probably with the scientists and with the innovators. It is not getting to the public as it should. And that is a problem that we're having. Yes.
When you say that we are far, how far are we?
Oh, Kenya actually we are pretty good. If you check the innovations, what we are showcasing there yesterday, I think we're actually very far. If that can be monetized, so that can be, if that can be monetized and commercialized, I think we can actually do a lot of things for ourselves. For example, if you check Dikut, the Dan Kimathi University, there were very many universities there yesterday, and I mean even now. If you check the universities, what the universities have done, we are very far. We should be able to absolutely service our country as far as innovation is concerned.
You sound like you saw some jaw-dropping innovations, and you sound so gobsmacked by what you saw yesterday. I mean, what is this one innovation that you saw, that's blew your mind literally?
Oh God, I could name a million. From Dikut, I mean, okay, there was Dikut, there was Meru University, there was Kisii University, so I just want to say, because you asked for one, they have this, I'm a water engineer, they have this device that they've come up with, that on-site laboratory, not on site. It's actually a device this big, and what it does, you put water on this side, and then it has all the parameters that you check for iron, you check the chemical, and then you have an app on your phone. So once you put the water there, it will show you colors, and from those colors, then you check from your phone, and you see whether this water is ready to drink. Or, I mean, it's good to drink or it's not really good to drink. There's one for you, if you have your glass of water, there's one that is actually much bigger than that. You can have it for example, an institution. I thought that was absolutely big. I mean, I have not seen that. And I know we take water and take it to the laboratory to get those things done. So that, and you see, it's with them, they say they've commercialized it. I have not heard of it. And that's what I'm saying, we have so many things that we've actually not taken out to the public to see. Yeah.
I'll be coming back to you with that innovation. I want to hear from Cindy Felix. You know, as a young scientist, what is your global view of the Kenyan science spectrum?
I can say, looking back to 5 or 6 years ago and right now, I think there have been some steady steps to sort of bring out innovation and, you know, the aspect of young scientists showcasing their projects in quite a significant way. What I can say is that I still think there is more need for more organizations and, you know, including the government, to invest more in creating platforms and conferences like the one we have at the Edge Convention Center for these students to actually showcase their exhibitions, because like engineer has said, if we have all these amazing innovations and there's nowhere they can be displayed, we'll still be quite far. But yeah, I would say we are doing pretty well. You know, we are having some amazing partners, even other countries like Ireland supporting our initiative. So I think the future is bright. Yeah.
And as a young scientist, you know, who is coming up, I know you are an alumnus of the Young Scientists of Kenya. Why do we still have a very small number of ladies, you know, joining the science industry?
I think the science stereotype still very much exists, that, you know, ladies are not as interested in STEM subjects and sciences as much as gents. But I think with more sensitization and information, we can actually get more ladies into STEM fields, because inclusivity is important, and the brains of young women have actually demonstrated that they can bring change. I still don't get to quite understand why women shy away from some of these industries, whether it's because they don't get the opportunities as much. I think maybe engineer can tell us whether they don't get the opportunities as much, or whether themselves they're not ready to jump into those fields. Yeah.
Moteridi, before I get into the question of that innovation that you are talking about, Cindy is talking about, you know, the gender stereotypes, you know, that we face as a country, and I just want to ask you this question, you know, with data in mind. When you look at data from the Ministry of Education, it will tell you that in our universities, you have 60% of students are male, 40% are women. The situation is worse when you go down to TVET, where 72%, actually 78% of students in TVET are male, 22% are female. And so how then do we close this gender gap, educational gender gap, what do you call innovation gender gap, bearing in mind that the equilibrium is not fair, you know, at the educational level?
Thank you. The 60% at the university level. And we are not talking about the science, we are talking about the whole university. Yes. I think one of the things we need to probably understand is, if, for example, a girl gets pregnant in Form 4 or in high school, her chances of going on to the university, even if she was a good student, are actually not very high. It's much better than it used to be before, because sometimes nowadays parents actually do allow children, I mean mothers with children, to continue to go back to school, but that is still not all the time. We still have people who actually don't allow their children. Once you get a child, you're told to bring up your child. So that is the one cutoff. So of course, it's not the same for a boy. If he gets a child in school, that doesn't count at all. Then they'll continue their life. When you get to the TVET, 78% of the boys, TVET is it's more manual, and a lot of the TVET it's not just science based, but it's also manual. So you'll find that the ladies feel like they will not be able to do, for example, masonry work. They'll not be able to do timber work, which actually is not true. A lot of the work that I do, I have a lot of my fundis. They're actually women. I have enough of them. Painters, I mean, I do have a lot of women. So that stereotype, as she's saying, it's something that we need to decolonize our mind from that and know that everybody can do everything. And when push comes to shove, they do get there and they do the work. They carry those stones, they do all the work that they're supposed to do. Yeah.
You see, if you're just joining us, I mean, we're having this conversation around nurturing innovation and, of course, how to close the gender disparity, or what you call the gender dissonance in STEM courses. And that's a conversation that we're having here. We're in the company of an engineer as well as an actuarial scientist. And guess what? Both of them are female. And so they'll be speaking, or they are speaking from that perspective. We also just want to remind you that we're expecting the press briefing by the government spokesperson, as well as the ongoing conversation around climate financing. Yeah, it's a new concept, and Africa is trying to get into that space. But for now, we just want to listen to the government spokesperson and get to hear what the government is saying.
Head of State na mkuu wa serikali, Head of Government, na yote yanaorodheshwa kwa pamoja. Msemaji wa serikali kazi yake ni kuelezea kile ambacho kinaibuka hususan katika kitengo kile cha serikali. Na tumeona kuna vile ambavyo Mheshimiwa William Ruto ameweza kujihusisha na miradi tofauti ya kimaendeleo humu nchini, na kumekuwa na tetesi potovu ambazo zimekuwa za watu wengine kusema ni
Well, unfortunately, we're having audio challenges with that government spokesperson press briefing. He's just giving an update on what the government is doing on various fronts, and so we're trying to stabilize that audio signal, and once we have it on ready, we shall be going there. We are just reminding you that we are in studio here. Our conversation is a very good one, and we're in the company of two ladies who are excelling in the field of innovation. And that is engineer Jane Mutulili. She's the managing director of La Femme Engineering. And we're also in the company of Cindy Felix, who is a student at the Jomo Kenyatta University of Engineering. And she is pursuing actuarial science. Jane, you were talking about what you've been seeing at the EDGE convention where the research festival is taking place, and you're talking about that gadget which needs to be commercialized. And that is one of the innovations. There are so many innovations that are yet to be commercialized.
Jihusisha ama asaidiwe na mawaziri wake na hata ofisi ya msemaji mkuu wa serikali. Sisi pia tunakwenda kwenye miradi tofauti na tunafanya hilo. Kwa hivyo ni vizuri tueleze hapo, sababu tunaona watu wengine wanaleta uongo, sijui hii litendeka. Hilo ni jambo ambalo tunataka kusema vizuri sasa leo hivi. Jambo lingine la pili, kuna wengine wanasema miradi hii ilikuwa ya serikali ya awamu iliyopita, awamu ya 4, sijui ya 3. Lakini tukumbuke kwamba serikali inaendelea zaidi ya awamu awayo yoyote ama muhula awao wote. kumaanisha kwamba iwe ilifanyika, lazima miradi hiyo iweze kumalizika. Takwimu za hapo awali kidogo zinaonyesha kwamba kulikuwa na zaidi ya miradi 8,000 ya serikali tofauti ambayo ilikuwa inakula kitita kikubwa cha mapesa, matrilioni ya pesa, na ni jukumu la serikali yoyote ambayo inakuja mamlakani kuendelea na miradi ambayo ilikuwa imeanzishwa hapo awali, kwa sababu serikali ni moja, tawala ndizo tofauti, lakini wale ambao wanaofaidi ni Wakenya wenzetu. Kwa hiyo tusiwe tunasema kwamba eti kwa sababu mradi ulianzishwa katika awamu ya 3 ama ya 4 kwamba sasa utawala huu wa 5 haufai kuzingatia. Sidhani hiyo ni haki. Kwa sababu baadaye zile pesa ambazo zinatumika ni pesa za Wakenya. Ni vizuri pia kusema kwamba sasa hivi tuna mfumo mpya wa fedha kugharamia masomo ya vyuo vikuu na taasisi tofauti mbalimbali. Na kumekuwa na pengine wengine ambao wanauliza maswali, kwa nini nimewepo hapa katika kitengo cha kwanza mpaka cha 5, kwa nini nimeingia cha 4 na cha 5? Lakini ieleweke kwamba bado kuna mwanya wa mtu yoyote ambaye anahisi kwamba hakuweza kusajiliwa kwa kitengo ambacho kinachomfaa kutokana na kipato cha familia yake, ili mambo yao yaweze kuangaziwa mpaka mwezi wa Disemba. Kwa hiyo nafikiri Wakenya tuweze kuchukua huo mwafaka, sio tu kulalamikia, ndiposa pale ambapo kuna dosari iweze kurekebishwa. Kwa hivyo bado tunafungua hilo na tumejaribu zaidi, kwa sababu na nieleze kwamba mfumo huu wa fedha sio tofauti sana na vile ambavyo tumekuwa nao na ule wa awali. Wale ambao mmekwenda katika vyuo vikuu, mnajua kwamba ilikuwa either unapatiwa shilingi 20,000 ama unapatiwa shilingi 25,000 kama mkopo, shilingi 32,000, 35, 42 na 60. Huo mfumo ndio sisi wenyewe tulitumia. Kile ambacho kimebadilika ni kwamba gharama ya karo za shahada tofauti imeweza kuongezeka, hivi kwamba kuweza kukidhi mahitaji ya vyuo vikuu tumebaki na gharama kubwa sana na madeni. Kwa hiyo huu ni mfumo mpya wa kusawazisha swala lile nzima, tusiwe kwamba hata vyuo vikuu vinaweza kunadiwa na watu ambao pengine wameweza kufanya biashara na hivyo vyuo vikuu ama taasisi na ilhali hawajaweza kulipwa. Niseme kwamba hilo jambo pia linahusika sana na vile ambavyo unaona watu wanasema kutakuwa na mgomo wa walimu na hata wale ambao ni wahadhiri wa vyuo vikuu. Niseme kwamba hilo jambo linatokana na upungufu wa fedha katika vyuo vikuu vile na mashule hayo, na tunajua kwamba kulikuwa kuna yale maafikiano, lakini sasa tunaona kwamba vyama vya wafanyikazi ama vya walimu vinasema kwamba bado hawajasikizana. Tutaendelea kuzungumzana na wao kupitia Wizara ya Elimu, Leba na hata Wizara ya Fedha. Kwa hivyo hilo ni jambo na tunatoa kauli mbiu kwamba tuendelee kuzungumzia, kwa sababu haitomfaidi mtu yoyote ikiwa kwamba shule zetu zitafungwa na masomo yaweze kuzoroteka, kwa sababu unajua kwamba mambo kama haya yanaharibu hata uchumi, kwa sababu kiangazia hata katika barabara zetu wakati shule zimefunguliwa, hata ndio kuna trafiki kubwa sana, kuna foleni kubwa za magari. Kwa hiyo ni vizuri tusuluhishe hilo na tuwe na ule utaifa na uzalendo ili tuweze kuhakikisha mambo haya yanatendeka. Tunaendelea pia kama serikali kuhakikisha kwamba huu ugonjwa wa Mpox tunaweza kuangalia vizuri ili usiweze kuadhiri wa Kenya. Tunajua kuna kesi tofauti tofauti, lakini Wizara ya Afya inaendelea kuhakikisha kwamba hili jambo limeweza kushughulikiwa, na kama kuna mtu yoyote ambaye anakisiwa ana ugonjwa ule basi tunasema aweze kushughulikiwa vizuri ili tusiwe na hili jambo ambalo linaweza kuleta shida katika katikati mwa Wakenya. Kwa hivyo kwa ujumla nafikiri sasa tunaweza kusema mambo yameweza kutulia baada ya yale maandamano. Wakenya waweze kurudi kufanya kazi zao. Tujitolee kwa pamoja kama serikali na wananchi, ndiposa tuweze kuhakikisha kwamba hii nchi yetu inaweza kukua kwa kiwango kikubwa, kuweza kuangazia masuala ya ajira. Na leo hii ningependa hususan kuzungumzia mambo ya ajira, kwamba katika wafanyikazi wa umma tayari Mheshimiwa William Ruto, rais wetu mpendwa, amesema kwamba wale ambao wamefikisha miaka 60 na zaidi waweze kustaafu. Ofisi ya msemaji mkuu wa serikali tumeweza kufanya utafiti na tumeweza kubaini kwamba kuna watu wengi wataweza kwenda retire hivi karibuni, na mwaka huu peke yake kutakuwa na zaidi ya nafasi 7,000 ambazo zitasaidia vijana wetu waweze kuwa wanaweza kuajiriwa na serikali. Lakini kwa ujumla watu ambao wataweza kustaafu kwa miaka 5 inayokuja ni watu zaidi ya 43,976. Kwa hiyo hizo ni nafasi ambazo ukijumuisha wale ambao wako katika mfumo wa permanent and pensionable na wale ambao wako katika kandarasi, kuna nafasi zaidi ya 46,000 ambazo zitakuwa zipo wazi kuhakikisha kwamba Wakenya vijana wameweza kufaidika kutokana na kwamba sasa kuna nafasi ya kuwaweka watu pengine katika upeo wa chini na wengine kupandishwa hata kupatiwa promotion. Kuna mikakati mingi tu kama kwa mfano ya kidijitali, mambo ya kutengeneza fiber na kadhalika. Serikali hii ambayo sasa inaenda kufikisha miaka 2 katika mwezi wa Septemba tarehe 13 wakati Mheshimiwa Rais alipoapishwa rasmi, imefanya mambo mengi ambayo ningependa kuyahadithia katika sasa hotuba ambayo nitaisoma rasmi kuwafaidi hawa vijana na Wakenya kwa ujumla. So allow me to now read the statement in English of what we have today, and then after that we shall have a session for various questions as you may want us to respond to. This is a press statement by the government spokesperson today at KICC, and it is as follows. Retirement for public service. Retirement from public service. Arising from the public feedback attained from the recent happenings in the country, His Excellency President William Ruto on Friday, 5th July 2024, pronounced himself on a number of austerity measures to be undertaken during the financial year 2024-2025, which included reorganization of the government. The measures are in an effort to fulfill his commitment to continuously and effectively listen to the people and apply their contribution towards enriching policy making and governance. Part of the feedback included a requirement that public servants who attain the retirement age of 60 years to be released to proceed on retirement immediately. This is also aimed at paving way for the hiring of younger persons. I wish to report that the President issued a directive on this requirement, and it is already being implemented. Some 39,360 civil servants are expected to retire from this service in the next 5 years based on the June 2024 payroll. This is in addition to 7,477 officers who have retired between 13 September 2023 and 30th June 2024. These officers are from state departments, county executives, and county assembly. The payroll also shows that a total of 43,976 officers are aged 55 years and above and are expected to retire between this year and the year 2029, with a total of 7,662 poised to retire in this financial year alone. Some more 39,441 Kenyans are serving the government on contractual terms, with their contracts expiring on different dates depending on their period of engagements. This means the creation of a total of 46,838 job opportunities to our jobless youth, who will now be able to serve the government either on permanent and pensionable or contractual terms upon the declaration of these vacancies currently. So you can see here, we really have very good opportunities for people in public service to come on board. As you may be aware, already these 8,000 interns are going to be recruited as well by the Public Service Commission, which is a very good entry point for our young people, especially who have graduated recently. All of these efforts are aimed towards youth empowerment. And you may recall that on Monday last week, we commemorated this year's International Youth Day, where we celebrated the vibrancy, creativity, and resilience of our youth under the theme, From Cliques to Progress, Youth Digital Pathways for Sustainable Development. The theme underscores the transformative potential of digital innovation in driving meaningful change and fostering sustainable development, not only in Kenya, but across the globe. The celebrations come at a time when the country has put in place a number of measures to ensure progressive youth empowerment in line with the Kenya Kwanza's Better Plan. Now, the broad-based government. We want to infuse new ideas in an effort to bring everybody on board towards a united and cohesive policy for the youth, for the national development. The Better Plan has so far recorded the following achievements within its fifth pillar, the digital superhighway and creative economy. Number one, the government has been able to digitalize 17,668 government services within the first 1.5 years against a 5-year target of 5,000. So you can see that is basically 400 times more. We have also been able to establish 274 digital hubs to create job opportunities for young people across the country. The government has also been able to train more than 516,505 youth in digital skills, enabling them to venture into online jobs opportunities, and also created 152,000 digital jobs, reducing the level of unemployment in the country. Further, the government has established 1,360 Wi-Fi hotspots across the 47 counties, enabling free access of internet for online transactions. In addition, we've also activated local assembly of 1.5 million affordable smart-enabled phones. The phones retail from Kenya shillings 7,500 per unit and are available at Safaricom and Jamii Telecom outlets, with 579,000 units already sold. This is a great milestone that we are already manufacturing our own phones. This has greatly helped to bridge the digital divide, especially in the rural areas, because it's quite affordable. The government has also established the Open University of Kenya in October 2023 to facilitate virtual learning and universal access to education, with currently 3,289 students being admitted to the Open University at Konza Technopolis. The university has created jobs and occasioned heightened knowledge and technology transfer. Further, there has been a rollout of 10,219 kilometers of fiber optic cables and re-engineering of the model to utilize the KPLC electricity transmission lines to roll out the fiber as opposed to digging underground trenches. These should enable us to terminate fiber at each of the 74,000 KPLC transformers and eventually at each and every meter in the long run to make free and reliable Wi-Fi available in all corners of the country. As you may recall, within our manifesto, The Better Plan, which is now being implemented by the broad-based government, we promised to do 100,000 kilometers. And already we've done 10,000 so far. So we are making very good progress. And if we leverage on the 74,000, transformers, you can see already we'll have covered a lot because we don't need to reinvent the wheel. The government commenced re-engineering of Postal Corporation of Kenya into an e-commerce and logistic hub with the aim of enabling the young entrepreneurs to engage in trading online. This is very, very important because, we are using the Postal Corporation of Kenya network, which is across the country. Every place you go around the world, around Kenya, you'll find a Postal Corporation of Kenya, but they have been moribund and underutilized. And then e-commerce then becomes very critical, when you leverage again on the internet. We've also, as a government, facilitated the development of 1,018 audiovisual productions under the KBC Studio Mashinani program, putting money into the pockets of the young artists. More than 94 ICT solutions and providers, more than 94.
That is government spokesperson giving an update on various projects that the government has undertaken or is undertaking. And of course, we're going to give you a comprehensive report during our upcoming bulletins at 1 p.m., 7 p.m. and of course 9 p.m. We are back in studio. We have about 15 minutes to go, and our conversation is around nurturing innovation here in Kenya. I gave you a background. Kenya has been toying around with the idea of enhancing innovation since 2008. And when you go through Vision 2030, innovation, research and engineering, is part and parcel of this critical document that seeks to enhance Kenya's way of living. So let's talk about innovation. We are in the company of Engineer Jane Motereri. She's the chairperson of Association of Consulting Engineers of Kenya. She's also the managing director of La Femme Engineering Limited, and also be in the company of Cindy Felix. She's a student at Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology, JKUAT. She's pursuing her course in actuarial science, and she's also a member of the Young Scientists of Kenya. So she's well versed with issues around innovation and science. I want to hear this, Cindy. When you look at the uptake of our STEM courses, even in our learning institutions, the ratio between boys and girls, it favors boys. You're looking at almost 75% for boys and 25% for girls. And so when you're talking to your peers, how do you encourage them? How do you tell them that, look here, we need more women in this industry. It pays. It's the future.
I think it comes out better when they get, this information and pieces of advice from women that are actually already in the industry. Mm-hmm. If you have someone ahead of you that has already, gone forward and achieved in a certain field, you are definitely going to be motivated to also pursue the same. Mm-hmm. So it's more of, if we want to get, a more balanced situation when it comes to STEM and innovation, mm-hmm. we need, the female innovators and engineers, and let's just say the ladies that are already in STEM, for them to come out and actually mentor these young women. Yeah, for sure.
And when you see people like Engineer Jane Moteleli here, talking about what they are doing and the fact that she's the chairperson of ASEC, you know, which is the Association of Consulting Engineers of Kenya. I mean, that is not a small position. And so, Jane, how are you people using the leverage that you have and the position that you have to ensure that you share these information with young female scientists, young innovators, so that they can be the Janes of tomorrow?
Thank you, Kimani. Before I became the chairperson of the Association of Consulting Engineers, I was actually the vice president. Well, just before then, I was the vice president of the Institution of Engineers of Kenya. I was a council member of the institution from 2012, 2013, I don't remember. But in 2014, we launched what we call the Women Engineers Chapter as part of the IEK committees. And what happened at that time, at that point, within the council, we were just 2 council members, and we are very down there, you know, just ordinary council members. From 2014, we started having that work committee, and in work we started encouraging women. Just, you don't even need to join the council, just come, let's just group together. And in that grouping, we actually did a lot of mentorship. We used to have events just for women, and I think a lot of young people actually got to know what that, you know, when you're few and far apart, you have only one role model, and then you have one engineer woman you know, and then another 20 men you know. So when you're grouped together, then you actually realize that there are many more than you think, and therefore that is very encouraging. That is one. The second thing we realize is that as women now, you're an engineer, you join in as a young girl or just a graduate. When you start getting your family, then you have to kind of balance between your family, your career, and of course we know what gives way. So we've started trying to get ways now for them that you don't have to choose. That shouldn't be a choice. Just because you're a woman, you don't have to be any less of an engineer. And with that, we are encouraging the employers, give mothers who are engineers opportunities to not just be mothers, not just to be engineers, but also to be mothers, so that we don't have to compromise between, it's either this or that. And that has actually worked quite well. And of course, us also being where we are, I think we are also quite a bit of encouragement to people, I hope. Yep.
You see, when you look at the SDG 9, I mean, it talks about fostering innovation. And Kenya, you know, the Kenyan government, you know, has been in the process of mainstreaming STEM courses, you know, even at the primary school level. Yes. And that's why there was a change in curriculum to competence-based curriculum, which is supposed to harness innovation at a tender age. Are you convinced that as a country we are on the right lane when it comes to harnessing the power of innovation?
I think we are, but I think there's still a lot that can be done. And what that lot that can be done, I'm not even sure it's the government that should be doing it, but it's individuals, it's organizations like us. In ASEC, we have what we call future leaders. And in future leaders, one of their mandates, or one of the things that they do, is actually go to primary schools and secondary schools, and even universities. But they you know, it's what do I call it? They go calling to schools, and then when they go, you know, just the young people seeing young people like them, and this is where they are, and they tell me this is what you do. That in itself is actually very encouraging. And we realized, if I go to that school and start talking to young girls, they're just seeing their mother. When she goes to the school and talks to, for example, secondary schools, they actually identify a lot more with her. So we do that a lot with our future leaders, and it's been very helpful.
Yep. Cindy, one of the challenges that you know, as a country we are facing, and we must be alive to the fact that we are a developing country, and so, you know, the resource disparity is a major challenge in Kenya. And so our learning institutions are not well equipped with the updated technology. to help nurture innovation and to help encourage more people to join the pipeline of innovation. Is it bad now that you're in school, and what do we need to do to upscale these?
As you have just said, the issue is resources. And it's not that the resources are not there, it's just that we are not making the proper investment to have our institutions, you know, have adequate, if it's laptops, if it's mentors and all of that for, you know, our young scientists to get the correct guidance and mentorship to innovation. So just like engineer said, it's not just something the government should be doing alone. Institutions, organizations, non-profit organizations like Young Scientists Kenya, we need to have these outreaches. We need to, you know, have everyone, especially from the primary level, have the knowledge and information that they can actually get the assistance they need to develop their projects into, you know, working models and actually monetize them and all that. So a lot of financial investment is, you know, needed, a lot of mentorship, a lot of guidance for the young scientist. That is where we actually need to focus more on.
For example, when you look at an institution like the Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology, I mean, let's touch on the technology aspect of it. It is one of the oldest institutions, you know, public institutions, you know, that has an arm dedicated to technology. Now, as a student there for the last 3 years, what is the state of technology learning at JKU at? Would you say it's the best? Are there challenges?
Well, of course, there are challenges. I would say, from my perspective, when it comes to pursuing technology and innovation, it has been more of self-initiative and then directing that self-initiative to, say, clubs in school and, you know, those kinds of programs for more joint effort towards technology. So universities are really at it for sure, because definitely they are more equipped, and yeah, I definitely applaud my university for having its game up when it comes to that. Yeah.
Jane, you know, apart from Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology, I mean, we have seen other institutions, you know, coming up. You have Dedan Kimathi, that is based on science and technology. You have Masinde Muliro, among others. You also have Murang'a University. So the institutions are there, but do we have the manpower and the required manpower to fit in that space?
You know, Kenya, we are what we call a growing economy, or an upcoming economy.
A developing economy.
A developing economy. But as far as personnel is concerned, I would actually think that we are at the next level. We are actually way above many other countries. If, for example, sorry if I keep on referring to DICUT, because I was with their VC yesterday, and I know what they are doing. We went there actually for the Engineers Board of Kenya. They had their convention there earlier this year. I think that was in May. And you can see the kind of innovations they are doing. They have, what do you call this? They are making even motherboards. What?
For computers.
For computers, yes. They are actually doing microchips for computers. And they are able to make them. That's what I'm saying. If you can monetize what it is they're doing, their software. What I understand is that when they were, every university uses a lot of money on software, and that software can be, it actually can be developed here. It can be developed here, and once it's developed here, then they're able to, you know, use it for their own use. I mean, for what it is that they need to do. And therefore, I don't think we have an issue with personnel. The young engineers we are bringing up, or the young scientists, the young people that we are bringing up, they really are up there in as far as technology is concerned. They just need that space. Yeah. And I have a lot of faith in them.
Cindy, from where you sit as an actuarial science, and you're entering into a field where, again, women are the minority, and you're looking at a ratio of 70 to 30, you know, against women, and so, what message do you plan to inculcate into the minds of young girls to join you, because it can be lonely at some point when you're just very few of you there?
What I can say is that we need to tell these young girls that they can actually make it. Most of them probably look down on themselves based on where they come from, based on their challenges. Engineer actually gave an example of when, you know, in the unfortunate event that a girl gets pregnant, she decides to drop out of school and doesn't pursue further education. So the message I would have for them is that at whatever stage and point you are in your life, when you set your mind to do something, you can actually do it. And yes, there is an urgency and a dire need for more women to step up into these positions, because I believe women have a nurturing personality in them. They're more mindful. I hope this doesn't come out the wrong way for our male counterparts, but they are more mindful of leadership positions and can actually deliver as much, if not more. So if they put their minds to what they actually want and pursue these STEM courses, you know, bring up these innovations and not shy away from the spaces that require technology and science, it can actually be done.
It can be done.
It can be done.
Jane, I want you to look at the next 5 years, the next 10 years. Where do you see this industry? Where do you see innovation in the next 5, 10 years? And what do we need to do to harness and upscale innovation in this country?
First of all, I still want to echo the words of Mr. Koske yesterday. Innovation is not enough in itself. That information has to be disseminated. So once you do innovation, you need to give out, you need to let people know what it is you're innovating. And on that note, I first of all commend completely the National Research Fund and of course young scientists, because of the conference they're having as you're right now. Next week, if you allow me to pitch mine, we are having a conference at the same place, The Edge, and our conference is Engineering and Engineered Material and Equipment. When I say engineering, engineering is what we all know. Engineered is what you have taken and actually now umeifanya ukarabati, you know, so that it actually serves a different purpose from what is being served. And that is what we call innovation. Next week, from Tuesday to Friday, we are having what we are calling our conference. It's actually our third ASEC conference. And in that conference, first of all, we do a lot of research. And who disseminates that research? Who gives it to us? And that is one thing that in the next 5 years, all the research that has been done, we need a forum that we can tell people one of the things we are going to discuss is climate resilience infrastructure. AFDB has done a research on that, and they need to come and tell us what has the climate done to the infrastructure we've done. And once we know that, then we know what not to do. That's one. We have research on concrete, we have research in steel, we have research on roofing material, equipment. So that if we continue our research and doing that, giving that information to the public, and then the public will pick up that information, we'll still do things better than we've been doing them. So for me, I would in the next 5 years, for as long as this continues, I think we'll be in good places. We'll be in a good place, and we'll be able. Kenya should sustain itself. Really, I think we have some of the most brilliant minds, and on that note, we should be able to innovate things for ourselves, use them for the betterment of man. Yeah.
And now that you have been attending the research week at the Edge convention, what are some of the conversations coming out of that a conference that you feel are going to be key enablers of innovation in this country?
Well, number one, we should trust our innovations.
Trust our innovations. Is there a feeling that we don't?
Yes, there is a feeling that we don't. Let me tell you, I'll actually just name 3 of the innovations that I saw yesterday. Bamboo. Bamboo that grows, it takes 5 years to grow, but can be used on very many things. We still don't use, and I'm now talking as an engineer, we still haven't actually gotten into use bamboo as we should. That's one. We have soldier flies.
That is bamboo tree.
Bamboo tree. We have soldier flies. Soldier flies for food. I didn't know it can actually be made for human feed, but it is the food that the protein for animals is actually one of the most expensive, you know, so production of our food is actually very expensive on account of our, animal product is very expensive on account of the protein. It can be made in everybody's house using soja flies. They are showing it. I saw 3 universities that have that as an, it's not even, well, as an innovation that can actually be, you know, taken, escalated. The other one was leather technology from Kimani. When we get a cow, we just eat the meat. There's so much that can be done with that. In fact, from them, they are saying a lot more value addition to that, to a cow. You know, for example, the leather of the cow is actually a lot more than the meat that we eat. When we see a cow, we just eat the meat and throw away the hide. The hide. Skins. Yes, we have, from Mary University, I saw dryers for cereals, for bananas, for, you know, there's so much that can be done. So if this is one of the losses that we have, one of our problem with food production is actually after sales losses.
After harvest losses. After
harvest losses, yes. So those after harvest losses, the universities have come up with an innovation that you can actually preserve your food on your, within your farm, and then you can sell it. And you know, those are the small innovations. If we did those ones, and because they can make a household dryer. So once you get food from your shamba, you dry it, you keep it and sell it at the right place. We should be able to sustain ourselves. So those are some of the things that really hit me on those.
I like the fact that you're bringing in the issue of soja flies, and this has been a conversation you know, that has been ongoing on how Kenya can tap soja flies, you know, for protein,
yes,
for nutritional value. But the question has always been, I mean, you know, I don't know. I'm sure you saw them soja flies. I don't know whether you would want to have them for supper, you know, in their current state. I mean, and so there has been cause for value addition. I mean, and that is what has been missing. You're talking about dryers, but we have dryers in the market. But then, how do you value add, you know, the Kenyan produced or Kenyan manufactured dryers to suit the local demand, to suit the local needs?
The dryers that I was seeing yesterday are actually solar dryers. You see, there are dryers all over the place. But those dryers, what is the energy serving those dryers? You know, driving those dryers. So if you have a dryer, for example, this size, and you have even 30 bags of maize, it will take a while for you to dry them here. But you see, it's in your place. There's no hurry. There's no. You'll dry it as it comes. You know, soja flies. That's a very good question, because until yesterday I didn't know actually they can be used for personal nutrition values. All I know about soja flies, it can be used as animal feed. But they're saying for the word the professor, the doctor who was on them told me, for those who can manage. So I'll leave it that day. But soja flies, other than for the nutrition value, we're also talking about a lot of solid waste. They actually decompose the waste for you. So they are saying the soja flies, depending on what you feed it, that's when they can become edible. But also you can use just decompose of solid waste, and then you feed them to the cows. So it's not, you're not picking the wiggly worm. It's actually there's a lot of value addition to that, which can be done actually in the house. In the house. Yes, they can be done at home.
Somebody said that you know, soja. I mean, you know, Kenyans, you know, one of their delicacies is omena, and so if we are very good at consuming omena.
Kumbi, what are those things that fly out during the rainy season?
I don't know their name, but I also know they are delicacy in the western part of this country. And so it's just a question of value addition. And Cindy, I also know that you have been attending this the research conference at the Edge Convention. What are some of the innovations that you have seen there that you know, have got your mind blown away?
I think I wouldn't point out to specific innovations, but what I am mostly, you know, captivated by is the fact that our young scientists are actually trying to address global issues, the SDG goals, trying to curb flooding. I saw one talking about, you know, the way they would want to channel flooding water into some sort of preservation and purification underground, so that when it floods, we don't have so much of rainwater on the surface, and at the same time the way we are choosing to preserve that flood water is underground, so the land that is, you know, on the surface is still utilized as it should, you see. So they're actually trying to address the issues that are going on right now, climate change and all of that, and that's what we actually need. So I wouldn't say that this particular project is what blew my mind. I am more, you know, inclining to they are actually observant and they're informed and they know what they want to do and they know how they want to do it. So they're coming up with those innovations to address those issues. Some of them are actually motivated by issues from their local communities, and they are willing to give back to those communities. And yeah, that truly is amazing.
And I mean, you know, as a young scientist, as a young innovator, I mean, you live in a country that is, you know, beset by many challenges, and you're talking about extreme poverty, lack of proper sanitation, you know, lack of a proper and well-aligned transport system, to climate change, and of course pollution, air pollution, and so much. And are there some innovation that you wish, you know, that Kenya can develop to deal with its domestic challenges?
Well, sure, definitely. I think our greatest issues as a country, you know, apart from corruption, is, you know, extreme poverty, hunger, sanitation. So I'm definitely looking forward to see more projects that actually address the very core issues, because once you address those very core issues, you've actually dealt with the entire country. Yeah.
Motereri, I mean, you became an engineer at a time when, you know, engineering was a preserve of men. I mean, you're one of the pioneers of women engineers in Kenya, and it's proper to say that you know, significant gains has you know, have been made to ensure that you mainstream more women in the engineering industry. But we still have a long way to go, and how can those challenges be addressed?
Yes. In my class, first of all, we were 8 out of, I think, 132. In a class of 132, we were 8 ladies, because we were the double intake. Then everybody thought we were too many women in engineering, because the year before us, I think there were 2 or 3. The year before us, there was 1. I mean, everybody could tell us, you know, before you there was so and so, so and so, so and so, you know.
You could even pick them from the crowd.
Yes. But we were told we were too, at that point we were actually too many. There are too many.
At 8.
Yes, we were 8
of you.
So yes, I totally agree. We've made quite some ingredients on that, and that's a good thing. We are of course not enough, and I think becoming an engineer and remaining an engineer, that is also the other conversation we are having. And I said, as by the time they get middle-aged, they start getting babies and everything else, then the challenge becomes too much. So it's one thing to become an engineer, it's a different thing to remain there. And that's one of the conversations now that we should actually start having. And we are already having that conversation. As I said, we have what we call WEC, Women Engineers Chapter, through our Institution of Engineers of Kenya. And they're doing a good job. They're actually doing a good job. Just encouraging one another. And even when we've bid to become the president of the institution, we haven't, I think we've had the 4th one now, bidding to become the president. The 4 of us have not made it. I was a candidate once. And we encourage each other. I mean, it would be very nice when one of us becomes one. But more important, we have so many people, like in the council now. I think the last but one council, we're almost 50% women. So that in itself is actually
the gender parity was almost achieved.
Maybe it was 40%. But having said that, down below us, we are still absolutely not enough. So we still have a lot of work to do.
When you look at the challenges, you know, that you are going through back then, and you look at the same challenges that women are going through in their bid to become engineers, are they related?
Yeah, the challenge is still the same. The only difference is that now if she gets a problem, she has me to talk to. But the problems are definitely the same.
Back then you didn't have anybody to talk to?
Not as many.
Not as many as
yes, I mean, I think probably when I think the older engineers, especially in civil who are older than me, they are certainly not many. And I probably didn't even know. Probably I knew 1 or 2. They were certainly not many.
Cindy, as a young scientist, you know, as a young innovator coming up, are there some women in Kenya that you look up to and say, That's where I want to be. That's where I want to be at 10 years from now.
I have been waiting for that question.
It's here finally.
Yeah. Apart from taking actuarial science, I am very much interested and very passionate about aviation.
Aviation.
And I hope to fly one day as a captain. I look up to Captain Irene Koki Mutungi. Oh, you know her. Okay, that's amazing. She has been a pilot since she was 19 years, and I have watched her grow into a really amazing journey, and I would definitely hope to, you know, follow in her footsteps. Aviation is actually also one of the industries in Kenya, actually globally, that women are really not, they're still, you know, the gender balance is still not quite there. So that's something I'm looking forward to contributing into. I also have another mentor. She's a captain as well. I have so many, but Captain Irene Koki definitely stands out. Yes.
I mean, she's always been, you know, been very proud, you know, flying the big birds, you know, the 747.
Yes.
And I mean, and what about in the innovation space? You know, do you have, you know, a woman that you look up to and say, that's my role model up there?
Currently in the innovation space, I wouldn't say there's someone I exactly look up to. If we, you know, look at most of the innovations that came up, from light bulbs to all that, most of them were invented by men. It's only recently that women have started taking up these spaces. But when I find one, I'll definitely let you know.
Well, I mean, ladies, I mean, we must bring this conversation to an end. But not before I find out this from Cindy. What do we need to do to get more young people in this space and support them and support their innovation towards commercialization level?
Like I said, we can have a million conversations around, you know, where we want to see innovation in the next few years, but if it's all talk and no show, we are not going to achieve anything. Innovation actually, you know, requires financial investments. It requires mentorship. Being a Young Scientist Kenya alumni, I can confirm that it requires financial investment, it requires mentorship, and these are things that we need to come out and, you know, give to the young people, even from the primary level. The government, institutions, anyone that is interested in seeing Kenya and the world take the next step should show interest in supporting these young people. Let's have as many outreaches as we can. Let's have as many exhibition shows as we can. Let's have as many conversations as we can. And let's also have, you know, people who've already done it in the innovation space, whether in Kenya or globally, get to talk to these young people and show them that they can make it. They need to see the footsteps they're actually following into. Yes.
And reverting back to the issue of Koki Mutungi, I mean, she's a trailblazer. I mean, she's like nobody else in the field. I mean, there was a lot of excitement when she became the first female captain to fly the Boeing Dreamliner,
the Dreamliner
787. I mean, that's a huge bird. I mean,
Africa.
You get in it and you get lost.
Yes.
Have you ever met her?
No.
Not yet.
I haven't.
I hope you managed.
The answer is not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Oh, not yet. Yeah, that's a great answer.
Yet, yes.
That's a great answer.
Koki Mutungi, if you're just watching this show, just know that Cindy Felix
Hi.
is a big admiration of you, and she just want to meet you so that you can have a one-on-one conversation and inspire her. Maybe she can join your field.
You never know.
And we applaud you, Koki, for being the first female, African female to fly the Boeing Dreamliner 787. Ladies, I mean, we must come to the end of this conversation, but not before I allow you to say what you want to say.
Thank you very much. I just want to invite everybody to our conference. We are going to have a great conference next week. On the first day, that's the 27th, we are having future leaders, our young engineers. Our young engineers they're just amazing. And when I say they're amazing, is that they are so self-driven, they do a lot of things on their own. So please join them on the 27th, that's the first day. And for the rest of us, from 28th to 30th, we're going to have a mind-boggling conference. It's a conference you'll not forget. At the Edge, you're all very welcome. Check our website, ASEC, www.asec. Check our website, na karibuni sana. And for the sponsors, if you have anything that you want to show, any innovation that you've done, you're very welcome.
Very good.
Thank you.
Cindy, do you want to say something before we call it a show?
I think my parting shot, which I took from her conversation is, and I liked when she mentioned it, is I hope we get to a point where women don't have to compromise. It's either your career or motherhood. You only have to pick one. We really need to get to that point, and I hope, you know, we get to have these conversations, because no one questions when a guy is a dad and he's a CEO of a company, but when you're a mother and an engineer, everyone wants to know, how did you do it? So I hope we get to that point where we actually look at women as people, not just as women and mothers, as people as well with dreams and ambitions, and who can actually, you know, pursue their careers and also being mothers.
And the fact that the two of you are here is a testament that there are, you know, there are no ceilings for women to fly. She's not yet
past the testing stage. She's not yet, but I have passed that stage.
Yes.
She hasn't.
She hasn't.
She hasn't. So at that age where she has to make that decision is where we need to support them, absolutely.
And I hope women like you will come out strongly.
Absolutely.
And give them the support that they need.
Yes. Yeah.
And even the men who have made it are men. We also need to support our girls. We need to support our women. Because, as I say, it's lonely up there. Yeah. It's very lonely when you're up there alone. So we need everybody on board. Well, it's coming to 12:20. We have to wind up this conversation. We've been talking about innovation, and we've been in the company of two great women, Cindy Felix, an actuarial scientist, as well as engineer Jane Mutulili. She's the managing director at LaFemme Engineering Services, and also the chairperson of Association of Consulting Engineers of Kenya. And before that, we also had a very interesting conversation on how to drive the engineering fraternity in this country, and how do we mainstream engineering in this country so that we ensure engineering becomes a key driver of socio-economic development. Man oh man, I've been here for the last 2.5 hours. So I need to take a short break. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. We do this every Thursday right here on KBC Channel 1, live from our national headquarters here at Broadcasting House in Nairobi. O'Brien Kimani is my name. Thank you very much indeed. What's coming up next? Khalid Abdullahi is coming up with Kurunzi Mashinani. That is our Swahili Bulletin. Stay right here. Bye for now.